Steven Universe Future, Episode 10, titled Prickly Pear, is once again a very emotionally heavy episode. Like, god dang. I never would have thought emotions could be the ultimate enemy of a show, but hey, that's humanity in a nutshell. We are our own worst enemies. And Steven, poor baby Steven, is quickly finding that his own emotions are his greatest enemy. Now, let's get into it. As we see that apparently Steven has quit little homeschool and he's taken up gardening. And while, normally gardening is kind of a bit of a healthy hobby, unfortunately, not so much for Steven, as he's really kind of started to obsess over it, even actually calling some of the flowers names of a lot of his friends within Beach City. Which, Jesus, man, you need to get out more. Like, man, we're really starting to see that Steven had just become so obsessed with gem life and his life in Beach City that it's all that he can really focus on to a very unhealthy degree. But while the gems are kind of a concern, they do kind of leave him to everything because not much harm in gardening, especially since he's not even using his magical spit for any of this. However, Garnet does request that Stephen look out for the cactus. And unfortunately, Stephen doesn't take much heed to this as he takes a cactus cutting from a dying cactus. And when he pricks his finger, he goes in order to heal his finger and accidentally touches the cactus with it, causing the cactus to become alive the next day. And as he shows it off to the crystal gems, they dub it, well, specifically Amethyst dubs it, Cactus Steven. Unfortunately, while Cactus Steven is all cute and nice and all that, Steven starts to kind of talk to Cactus Steven. And while at first it's not too much, it's not too bad, he starts to kind of vent a lot of his restrained emotions because, Cactus Steven is a living creature and he feels that Cactus Steven can only just listen, a captive audience for the most part. And he vents about the fact that he doesn't feel like he should be teaching at little homeschool, that he's not the proper person to teach, that he doesn't feel like this his place anymore. And the next day he ends up finding out that Cactus Steven has actually mimicked his ability to talk. Unfortunately, Cactus Steven also starts to just exposit to the crystal gems a lot of the emotions that Steven had, told to it the previous day. And Steven starts to get a little upset, but he's so caught up in his own emotions that when they go back to the greenhouse, he starts to again exposit his emotions to Cactus Steven and why he doesn't want Cactus Steven to tell the gems any of his secrets because he doesn't want Pearl to worry, because he doesn't want any more, sage like wisdom from Garnet. And he's actually gotten a little frustrated with how mature Amethyst has been acting lately. He doesn't. He feels like it's not really the way things should be going in a lot of respects, and that's kind of the mindset for a lot of people his age. Shoot, even when you get older, you kind of get that mindset, especially around parental figures. You don't want the typical "I told you so's" and ways that they normally act around you when things go wrong because you feel like you're. Hell, Steven even says it. He's older now. He should be able to handle his issues on his own, or else he wants that to be the case, but that's not really becoming the case. And as he starts to get and more frustrated with things. Amethyst comes to visit him and see if anything is up, but Stephen continues to just kind of hide all of his emotions from the people who care about him most. And, like, It's really just going to show that teenage Steven really is his own worst enemy because of all the swirling emotions he's dealing with and not being able to express those emotions as he wants to appear adult because he feels he should be grown up enough to deal with these situations and emotions by himself. However, Cactus Steven continues to grow more and more into a grotesque like form because of the nasty emotions Steven has been putting on it. And he gives what he gets and he gets what he gives as Cactus Steven continues to just throw a lot of his own negative emotions back in his face, which just causes Steven to become more and more angry. And things kind of come to a head as Cactus Steven escapes the following morning and confronts Steven, continuing to spout out all of Steven's negative emotions. And as Steven kind of accidentally fights back against it. He tries to ward off the crystal gems, not wanting them to hear all of the things that Cactus Steven has been repeating. They do come in order to intervene, only for Cactus Steven to just spout out all the things that Steven said to him the previous night, about his feelings towards Pearl, his feelings towards Garnet, his feelings towards Amethyst. But they battle the creature, knocking it into some water, only causing it to grow even more and more powerful. And because it's a cactus, which is one of the most resilient plants on Earth, it's very tough to take down. This is actually fairly reminiscent of like season one enemies that is just like, yeah, we can't really take this thing down. The gems, while they are pretty strong, they're not that strong to a certain degree. But, they continues to say hurtful things to the gems and all that. And Steven finally remembers that all it's doing is just mimicking him. So he throws down his weapon and realizes that, look, hey, I'm sorry. All I've been giving you is negative emotions, and I've given you nothing positive to feed off of. So he goes in for a nice big hug, apologizing for his all of his actions, which causes these flowers to bloom on Cactus Steven, showing the positive reinforcement that Cactus Steven has finally gotten. And despite the fact that Steven wants to bring Cactus Steven back to the green room, Cactus Steven decides to set out on his own, leaving Steven with one of its flowers. And while the gems do want to talk to Steven about everything that's been going on with him, Steven feels that he's said enough at this point. Man, what a downer of an episode. Still good. Don't get me wrong. These episodes have been fairly good, but they are just really showing the unfortunate turn that Steven's character has taken. But that's a turn that it's very relatable. People go through some heavy stuff as they get older, as they experience more, as they live life. The optimistic kid that people used to say was so unrealistic is now the more cynical and down on himself teenager that a lot of those people who said those things were, or still are, whatever. It's really unfortunate, but it's also very, very relatable. Like, it's something that I never would have thought we would go into. And I'm kind of glad we are. I'm seeing an unfortunate a lot of myself in this character. And I actually am wondering how many of you out there are actually feeling this too? How many of you out there can relate to the struggles that Steven has been going through, especially in terms of trying to bottle up a lot of his emotions and not really try to put it on people who have already done so much for him. Steven is trying his best not to put his problems on other people. It's it's starting to cause those problems to force themselves upon other people. You know, Well, this isn't an example of his powers running wild. It's still an example of his emotions causing the most damage to both Steven and the people around him. And I really am wondering at what point Steven will finally own up to the fact that he's going through some things and he really does need to talk to somebody. But hey, let me know your thoughts and feelings on this episode in the comment section below. Do the bell, do the subscribe, do the whatever. It's all up to you. But I hope I will see you in the next episode. But until then, I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm signing off. Bye bye.